Okay, good morning, all. Welcome to our first Graduate and Professional Student Association Town Hall. We're really excited for all of you to be joining us today. So we are just going to start with a few introductions here on
Good morning, all.
Zoom.
To our first Graduate and Professional Student Association Town Hall.
Okay, so with that, my name is Jen Johnson. I am the GPSA president this year, and I am also a 6-year PhD candidate, hopefully final year, in environmental science. So hopefully wrapping up this year, but really excited to be the GPSA president for the year. And I will pass it off to our vice president, Sam.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Samantha Edgerton, or everybody calls me Sam. I'm the Vice President of GPSA this year. I am a second-year PhD student in the Department of History, and I will pass it off right now to James.
Hi, everybody. My name is James Dalton. I'm the Vice President of Legislative Affairs. I'm a second-year master's student in political science, and I'm excited to be here today.
Perfect. Then I will go ahead and get us started and kind of explain what we're going to do today in the layout. So just a quick overview. We received a handful of questions from GPSA senators, as well as our fellow graduate and professional students. We're going to cover these questions first. And if you have other questions, though, please feel free to type them in the chat. We do have 3 of our GPSA college representatives, Michaela Mays, Annika Van Dien, and Rachel Wong, monitoring the chat right now, and they'll be able to answer your questions as they come up or pass them off to us to then address live. So please, if you have any questions, please feel free to type them in the chat. Just to set a norm for the session today, just remember, please be patient and be kind. WSU has an amazing graduate and professional student community, and we're all here to help and support each other, especially in what's going on in the world right now. So with that, as I said, we're going to try to answer as many questions as we can today and as many that come up in the chat. But know that if we do not get to your question during this session, we will make sure to follow up with you via email. We'll either send references, resources, whatever it might be to help answer that question. So just know, even if it doesn't get addressed directly, we will look for an email from us later on this week. So with that, let's get started. I just wanted to first give a quick overview of GPSA, especially for new students to WSU. Many might not know who we are or what we do. And so GPSA stands for, obviously, the Graduate and Professional Student Association. We are the representative body of graduate and professional students in Pullman, as well as the research and extension centers at WSU. And our vision is really just to enrich your experience as graduate and professional students. We do that both academically and in your academic world, as well as professionally through our professional development and networking opportunities. And for some of you, most importantly, socially. I know as a graduate student, we like to just stay in the lab, do research, and not really get out. And GPSA tries to encourage you to interact with people, get out, and, especially with that mental health part of it, be a little more social. And so we do provide those opportunities as well. And so we have already planned some social activities this year. For those who know, we had Ferdinand's Grab and Go ice cream. Bingo night last night was amazing, giving out some gift cards, which was great. So look for those as well. And then James on the call right now also is responsible for our legislative branch of GPSA, which focuses on both university, state, and federal legislation, and tracking bills that might impact graduate students, and also figuring out what do we need, and going to our representatives and trying to get that for all of our students. And so if we have time at the end, I will show you our website and go over some of these resources, but you can always go to gpsa.wsu.edu to learn more about our organization and ways to become involved. And so with that, let's go ahead and get to some of the questions. So one of the first ones, and we actually received, I think 2 or 3 people had similar questions around this, is what is GPSA doing to get those fees either returned to us or a partial refund, some of those fees back. And so what that is referring to is the SNA fees that we all pay. These are the service and activity fees all students pay each semester in order to get support for non-academic programs and projects and such on the, again, Pullman or research and extension campuses. And these students' fees really, just like us, are there to enrich the experience. And so some of you might know we pay for like a UREC fee or SRC fee. And this semester obviously is a little limited in how we can use those fees right now with all the restrictions on social gatherings and such. And so this is where GPSA, again, we do receive some of those SNA fees. And we know that in general, students are really concerned about this. We're all financially strapped as graduate students. We don't really have that money to burn for the most part. And so we know that potentially getting that refund might be really helpful for some of you, including myself, right? And so what we have to tell you on that is these fees, each one has some sort of university committee or advisory task force assigned to them. And so once we realized we were going remote, WC administration realized that students really should have a say in what's going to happen with these fees. And so they were initially charged, but Vice President Mary Jo, the WCU administration, reached out to student groups asking for student representatives to sit on all of these committees, all these advisory task force, to then have this discussion on what should we do with those fees this semester. Should we provide a refund? Do we need them? What might happen? And so many of your GPSA execs, including us three, as well as chairs, senators, and we have just fellow graduate students, GPSA members, sitting on these advisory boards and having these discussions. And so I know I sit on the CUB advisory board, Rachel in the chat sits on the UREC one. And so these discussions are happening and the student voice is being heard. So please know you should be seeing some promotion of what's going to happen, some email come through on final decisions in the next few weeks after all these boards and then task force make those final decisions. So it hasn't been decided yet, but we are in the process. And so just to wrap that up, I will say, if you do have any very specific concerns, if you just want to voice your opinion, let us know. Like I said, GPSA is the voice for all of you. So just go ahead and send me an email. Which way am I pointing? That way? Right there, my email in the top. Please feel free, send me an email with any thoughts you have on this, and I will make sure to relay them to all of those committees as we decide the fate of all of those service and activity fees. And so with that, I will then go ahead and pass it off to Sam for our next question.
Hey, thanks, Jen. Our next question is, how is GPSA working to improve mental health resources? So right now, GPSA is currently in discussions with ASWSU, that's the undergraduate branch of student government, to find potential alternative services to help support student mental health throughout the WSU system. These include increasing current structures while also identifying more virtual services that may benefit our students overall. Also, GPSA has worked really hard to get you a graduate assistant position created around health promotion and student mental health. A GA was hired over the summer and currently is reaching out to students to get input on current services and what is still desperately needed. We will be putting the survey that's being used in the chat section. So please, if you have a chance, take an opportunity to complete that, because the more data we have to work with, the better we are to decide where to focus our most intense efforts to offer services. Also, there are many services currently provided by WSU that students do not actually know about. To learn more about these opportunities, visit the Cougar Health website and look up the mental health services. We will also be putting the link to that website in the chat section as well. So this should be something that you keep on hand, just so you know what's available for whether it's yourself or somebody you may know who needs these services. Thank you. And right now I'm going to send it to James to discuss some other housing Wi-Fi issues, I believe is next.
Thank you, Sam. So one of the issues we've heard this year is that Wi-Fi is not working very well at the graduate student housing off campus. We've heard that students are having issues and it hasn't been very effective since the school year began. So we reached out to Student Affairs and WSU Housing to get these situations fixed. We've heard that the WSU technology team has conducted a field test and did push a few updates to the Wi-Fi signals this week. This should help improve the Wi-Fi experiences in the Kamiak and Steptoe apartments. If you live in other WSU housing or are having issues, please let us know so we can address it.
Perfect. And our next question, again, we got a few around this, and not surprising as COVID and healthcare is at the forefront of all of our minds right now. And so one of our questions was just, what are we doing about this? What can be done? What can be improved? We know Pullman has kind of become a hotspot in the area of cases. And although those are starting to decline, there's still a lot that can be done. And so with that, one thing we want to share, and you've probably heard it if you've been listening to other town halls, is this idea of test early and test often. So if you feel like you may have been exposed, if you're not quite feeling right, there are now 2 sites on the Pullman campus. And again, that link will be put in the chat. One is at Cougar Health and Wellness. So on the Pullman campus, there is a, right next to, I think it's kind of moved to the Floyd area, but it's right around Cougar Health and Wellness that you can go to, and it is free testing for students. So just bring your Cougar card. You'll obviously go through the process, but it is free and a way to help catch this early. And so please take advantage of that, as well as the new National Guard testing site by Beasley Coliseum. Again, just bring your WSU card or your Cougar card and go and get tested. This just helps to identify those cases, help with isolation, and try to bring some of those numbers down. And we've also heard from our student insurance specialists that if you do choose to be tested outside of Cougar Health Services, I've heard like Safeway gives you a coupon for shopping at Safeway if you get tested there. Totally fine. Your insurance will cover that COVID testing if you have symptoms though. So this is not for just if you want to get tested, you just feel like you may have been exposed and want to get tested. Our insurance will cover COVID testing only if you are showing symptoms to these outside organizations. And so if you need treatment also for COVID, your deductibles and our copay for graduate student health insurance will apply. So otherwise, I would recommend going to one of the 2 WSU sites, as those are free for students with your Cougar card. And then just adding on to this, hopefully you all have seen the emails start to go out on Flu Fridays. And so Flu Shot Fridays are starting up, I believe today, actually. So this is just another preventative measure, help deal with COVID, right? If we could all get our flu shots, again, free for students. The website will be put into the chat as well. And this parking is free at the Elson Floyd Cultural Center. And so go get those flu shots as soon as you can. I can't make it today, but I have it on my calendar for next week. So go get your flu shot to help just kind of curb all of this virus that's going around. And I think with that, we'll go to the next one.
Okay, thanks, Jen. We did have some questions about coin shortages, and so we just wanted to offer some answers regarding what to do about this. So for those who need quarters to do laundry, we have heard that there are coin shortages throughout the community, particularly at Walmart and local banks. We reached out to Student Affairs, who informed us that they have quarters stocked in the Housing and Dining Cashier's office inside of this. Okay, excuse me for a moment. Is it a Straight Perham Administrative Suite? Students can go there during normal business operations to exchange dollars for quarters. If you continue having issues regarding this, please let us know. Again, our emails are at the top of our screens, so please utilize those if you have any questions related to this. And I'll hand this over to James.
Thanks, Sam. One of the questions we received is regarding home working stations. We personally think this is a great idea. We're looking into potential storage spaces where graduate students, when they leave Pullman, can drop their furniture off, and we can try to make sure students get it as needed. But currently, if you have any issues, reach out to the Dean of Students and the Financial Aid Services, where they can help get you in touch with different financial aid opportunities. And I believe we'll be putting that link in the chat as well.
Yeah, I did think this was a great idea, especially for a TA. I was a TA my first year. Having a workstation set up just makes you more productive in general. Working from home, I know I've been struggling with productivity a little bit lately. And so, yeah, if you have any ideas also of how we can set up some kind of system with this, let us know. But right now, getting spaces, getting storage, that kind of stuff is a little more tricky with COVID going on. A lot of things are closed down, and obviously budgets are a little more limited. But this is something like James says, we're reaching out, we're trying to figure out something that we can do around this idea, meeting with student affairs, and hopefully until then, check those financial opportunities out, great opportunities. And around funding, increase graduate student stipends. And so this, just putting it out there, is going to be pretty much our #1 advocacy legislative focus for the year. At all levels, but obviously starting at the WSU University level. It's a big issue. We know living expenses, this is my 6th year in Pullman, they've gone up since I started here. My rent's gone up and stipends tend to stay the same. This is obviously, stipends are determined by the department. So trying to address this issue is not going to be an easy feat, but we are going to focus on it. And so it's not controlled by the university, but we have had talks with the president, the provost, Vice President Mary Jo about this. There's a lot of support around increasing graduate student stipends. And so the next few months, look for surveys we're going to be sending out, trying to collect data and stories from graduate students to help try to address this issue. We're really working to get a minimum stipend level. We know a lot of departments pay their graduate students at a very low step level. And we're going to put a link to the step levels for those who are unsure in the chat. But hopefully if we raise that minimum first, those graduates and professional students who are getting paid the lowest on that stipend step are going to increase to a more living wage is our big goal. And so this is going to be, like I said, discussions with department chairs, with deans, trying to get this increase. And we know, even especially we're seeing in the time of COVID, financial need is increasing, and increased stipends would help a lot. And so trying to move that up is going to be our first step. Again, if you have any questions around stipends, if you want to share stories and struggles you faced, it can be anonymous. But please let us know any questions you have, any concerns you have. As like I said, this is going to be a big issue that we're trying to address this year. Go for it, Sam.
Great. So our next topic is surrounding the GPSA Evening Child Care Center. This is a resource that is currently unavailable to our graduate and professional community. The reason that they cannot open evening childcare is because of COVID concerns. Essentially, evening childcare is it provides a more difficult control environment because different families are utilizing those services each day, different times, and so forth. So for those reasons, the difficulties surrounding this type of less controlled environment led to the tough decision to have to close it for this semester. And currently spring semester is still unknown. So what we've been working with the Child Care Center is on ways that we can actually provide help and assistance to our grad and professional students who are parents. Currently, we've reallocated GPSA funds to support our other services, but we are still working with the Children's Center to provide weekly letters as well as online resources and teaching packets for families. So what's going to happen this semester is we have reached an agreement that we will be, the Child Care Center will be producing newsletters that will include online resources as well as a couple of activity packets to be distributed at 2 points this semester. So please stay tuned for more information about what that looks like and when that's going to begin, because we're working to get that up and running as quickly as possible, because we know that families are in desperate need of some sorts of services, myself included, for their children. Thank you, and I'll hand it off to James.
Thanks, Sam. So our next question deals with Zoom and online learning. We've heard that this has been a major concern for many students. I know myself, I kind of struggle sitting through 3-hour seminars on Zoom, but the Provost's office is currently working on this issue. It's a topic of discussion, especially with the spring semester has a high probability of being somewhat online or virtual. In the meantime, there are many resources that you can access. Look into the Academic Outreach and Innovation Group, Learning Innovations, which worked with faculty to improve student success in learning environment. They also provide student guides to learning remotely as well. And that link will be put in our chat. The Provost's office also offers resources for both TAs and students that are trying to transition to this new learning environment. And that link will get put in the chat as well.
Excellent. And then those were, like I said, we received a handful of questions. Those were the main topics that came up. If you do have any further questions, concerns, our answers didn't quite get to what you wanted, which is totally fine. Again, please reach out to one of us and we will make sure to address that. And then just because we do have a little bit of time, I am going to quickly, and this is something you all can look up as well, obviously, but show you our GPSA website just as an overview of kind of what you can find and the different services we have. And so again, I believe the link was put in the chat, but just gpsa.wcu.edu. You can learn about what we did last year in our annual report. If you want to set up an office hour, just send us an email and we will figure out a Zoom. We will send you our Zoom link for our office hours and set up a time to meet. And then in terms of all the various services we do offer, you can find the contact information for the chairs of those different committees here under people. And then the programs. So Sam mentioned our evening childcare, unfortunately, is currently closed right now for the fall semester, but we will be sending out weekly newsletters and providing some learning kits. So if you do have a child and you're struggling with this homeschooling right now and want a little extra assistance, please send them an email and they will include you in those newsletters and learning kits. Next one that's going on right now is PDI, or our Professional Development Initiative. Our chair is on the chat right now, Annika. So if you do have any specific questions about PDI, you can definitely send her a message or a question. She'll be able to answer. And you can find all the events here on the events calendar. And then one of the other options that's going on right now is travel and registration grants. So we know a lot of students aren't traveling specifically. Obviously, travel is very restricted, but many conferences have moved to online. And so you are able to apply for registration for different conferences and get reimbursed that way. And you can find all the deadlines here as well, the application deadlines and where to apply. So that is a current program and funding opportunity, as well as sponsorships. This was initiated last year as a way for various student groups and community groups who want to put on events, who want to provide services to our students. They can reach out to us for a sponsorship to help fund those opportunities. Again, does need to help our students, does need to foster education, leadership, professional development, everything GPSA really is trying to endorse. But please check out that website and you can fill out an application. And then one of the last ones is RSO funding. So RSOs, especially for new students, are registered student organization groups. And GPSA does provide some funding for graduate student focused RSOs who, again, want to provide some kind of services or an event. And so if you are part of an RSO that supports graduate students, you can apply for funding through GPSA, through our website. And I believe our spring application will be opening up in the next couple weeks. And then the last one is how to get involved. So there are various ways to get involved with GPSA, whether it's becoming an executive, such as 3 of us, or a college representative. You can also become a senator. We have 60 senators, which represent the various graduate student departments. And then you can also join a university committee. And so these are the committees I mentioned when we were talking about fees. These are the groups that might get some of those fees and decide how to spend them. But there are, I think, over 50 different university committees that we try to have a GPSA representative on. And right now we're still trying to fill them. So if you see this vacancy spotlight, then please reach out to our chair of university affairs, Anna. So it's gpsa.university. And she will help connect you to the person who's the chair of those committees. And so this is where having your voice be part of all the discussions going on campus is really important. Graduate students are obviously a smaller percentage of the overall student population. We have very specific needs, and having graduate students on these committees can only help. So that's just one other way to get involved. Here are the different events going on. I am going to put a little endorsement for our current programming event. And again, Rachel, our chair of programming, is in the chat and can answer any questions, but her committee has created this photo competition that is going on right now. And you can participate up until October 4th to submit a photo. The theme is Life in 2020, which I think has been interesting for everyone. And you have a chance to win a $50 gift card to one of the local businesses in Pullman. So again, just a great way to get involved, take your mind off research and everything that's going on, have a little fun with it. And there's actually also a second and third place. So a chance to, win a gift card and go support one of our local businesses. And so with that, I'm going to close this up. And I'm going to ask, since I was staring at my website, James, did any other questions come through?
No, I don't think I see any.
Excellent. Then I think I'll just kind of wrap it up with how we're going to progress going forward. And so I want to remind everyone to keep an eye out for details about our next town hall. We plan on doing these each month this semester with just any updates we receive. We do have monthly meetings with the president, the provost, with Mary Jo, and our student affairs representatives. So we are trying to constantly get our concerns heard and hear as many updates as we can, answer as many questions. So keep an eye out for our October town hall. Also, I know we all get so many emails, especially nowadays when everything is virtual. But we do, as an organization, send out the GPSA Monday Minute, which has links to all our PDI events, all our programming events, links to the different funding opportunities we provide. So don't just delete them, read them through, just a quick scan to see what opportunities there are for you. And in terms of like, if you're looking to graduate and everything this year, the Graduate Schools Friday Focus email is also a really important one for us. Again, I know so many emails, but that's a good place to find updates on policy changes, as well as all of the events and services that they want to highlight through the graduate school. So 2 really good opportunities to just, information sent right to you. And then lastly, I know, crazy times. I want to make sure everyone stays safe, stay healthy. Remember, if you're not feeling great, if you think you might be exposed, please go get a test. Go get a free test from one of our different areas. Remember to mask up when you go outside. Keep that 6 feet. We really want to make sure that we can, have that Pullman experience, have that WSU experience, but we want to make sure we're keeping our community safe. So with that, I think we will all say goodbye. And again, just keep an eye out for our next event, and hopefully we see you at least virtually at one of our upcoming programs or services. And I will go ahead and put just quickly our contact information up on the screen, but you can always reach out to us at any time with anything you might need. And so with that, have a great weekend. It's Friday. Yay. Have a great weekend, all.